how hopeful are you of making a change through your research, and what sort of change do you think you would like to see? What would that change be?
This morning I actually had a voicemail. I had a voicemail from a CEO of a small charity in Birmingham who I did a project for a few years ago, and they've finally bought a building to host their charity. They own it outright, it's not rented, and his voicemail said, Geraldine, I've sent you an invitation. I got the email and I forgot to respond. We need you to come and talk about the impacts that you've evidenced of our work around faith-based interventions. So it's like 7:30 this morning, I'm responding, I'm thinking, oh, I've got to respond. And for me, that's what it's about, really. I think a lot of the work that I do is with small charities. It's working with, marginalised, whatever we sort of identify communities. I don't start that work thinking I'm going to make this world-changing, but I always start the work thinking that even if it is just someone in that organisation or some of the young people that I work with, that it makes a difference in their lives, and that's great. I've done research, and I can't put my hand out and say it's made a difference, but I've done research and I know that it's made a difference. And when I received the voicemail, it just forced me, particularly at this week when we've just had some of our information around the impact of our work, to say, oh my goodness, this is what keeps me going. It's saying that the evidence that we generated for that organisation has allowed them to evidence their work for funders. It's allowed them to build and do more of what we need them to do, because they work with some of the most marginalised men and women in our communities. And it's played a part in terms of giving them evidence to build funding bids. And also, I'm working with a young man that they supported years ago, who I first interviewed in prison. He's now a peer researcher in a project that I'm doing for the Howard League. And we have those conversations about the impact of his relationships with them. So for me, it's like, I always say impact is on the macro, meso, and the micro level. If I only have impact on the micro level, I'm happy. If it's only one person, I'm happy. If we can change policy or inform practice guidance and the way people do things, that's great. But if I can work to just have something that I can go on thinking, actually, I'm a bit tired today, but God, that's why I need to get up and do it. That's great. And I think we all want to feel that we do something, don't we? On that basic level, we all want to feel part of something, and that what we do is worthwhile doing. And we all make a lot of sacrifices to do what we do. We miss family events, we miss holidays, or we don't take holidays, we work into the night, we miss a lot. I can think about things that I've had to give up. So I like to think that there's something worthwhile in some of the sacrifices we've made. And we are also privileged, aren't we? We're also privileged to do what we do. I've met the most amazing people in prison, in prison, and I always like to think that I've demonstrated my commitment and my responsibility in living out those sort of values. So making a difference is important, but how we understand that, it just means different things to different people, and it doesn't need to be that 4-star journal or that, that impact case. It can just be, on a one-to-one human level.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's just it's so motivating and so kind of rewarding, and it does make you, when somebody gives you some feedback on an individual level, like, oh, that thing that you wrote, or that report, or whatever it was, that was, that was really useful, or I really enjoyed it, or I got something out of it, or it helped me do whatever, then you just get a real boost from that, I think.
And I think that's great.
And I agree. I think making a difference is really important. It's something that I've kind of become more and more aware of, and it's become more important to me as I've kind of gone through my career, I think. But what you said about the different scales, that's how I think of it as well. Like, you work, when you get those individual stories and connections, and that's great, and it's really good to get that, because you think, oh, great, it's helped somebody, or it's made a difference to someone. And then if you can make a difference at that higher scale, like, I don't know, a policy level or, you know, some kind of organisational scale, then that's great, and that's brilliant, but obviously challenging as well.
Yeah.
But I think you're so right as well about the opportunities that you have to meet people who are just so inspiring. That's they're doing amazing work, and they're really, you know, driving through and live through the things that they believe in. You know, for example, in my work, I get to talk to people who are trying to rebuild the food system to make it more sustainable and to deliver food justice, and it's just, yeah, amazing to meet them, because they're just incredible, the work that they're doing, and the struggles that they're having is also what makes me think, right, that needs to keep me going and you know, working in this area. So
I went to, a friend of mine died recently, and her name was Dr. Nicola Andrews, and she was a phenomenal scholar. And we had a memorial that we attended recently at Newman University. And I was just thinking that in her short life, because she's only 36 and she left 3 young kids, what she'd achieved with her work. And she worked relentlessly. They had like a supervisory team, people in the community that she'd done things. So people came up and shared what she'd achieved in that short time. And she was a black feminist. She was someone that lived in a community and never left the community, and felt really, really committed to what she's doing. And I remember just sitting there thinking, do you know what? Should I start writing what I want people to read that way? But I was just thinking, but do you know, that would make, I felt really a sense of, my sadness wasn't as great, because I thought, do you know what, you came and you conquered, and you did something and you left your mark, and your kids are proud, and you've made a difference in your kids' life, and all of these sorts of things. And I think that's what Impact's about. It's, you know, as a mother and as a grandmother, it's like, do you know what, you don't want to leave things any worse. Oh, well, sometimes we ain't got no choice, because, you know, our structural things are not changing as fast, but you want to leave something a little better. And I think it's driven by those sort of personal things. And I was just thinking last week when I sat at a memorial, gosh, you left something really important behind that is going to make a difference.